Hi and welcome to another tutorial. In today's lesson we'll learn how to recreate this cool looking cat animation effect using Adobe After Effects. So anyways guys, let's jump in. So the first thing that we have to do here is we have to generate our content. Now I'm just using Adobe Firefly and it is up to Adobe Firefly Image Beta 2 and the image results are actually really good. This is the one that I'm looking at. So my prompt here is a lovely kitten wearing a pink fluffy jacket, standing up, detailed concept art. And you're free to choose whatever you like. Just please make sure that you have a look at some of the effects and the color and tone and things like that. And when you're happy with the style, what you need to do is you just need to download it. So I can just download it from this button over here. So once we've got that downloaded, we're going to take it into Photoshop. So here we are in Photoshop and the resolution that Adobe Firefly has given us is pretty good, but I want it to be exactly the size of my composition, 1920 by 1080. Now because it's a little bit larger than that, what I'm going to do is I'm going to increase this to 4K. So I'm just going to go and press on the crop tool and I'm going to change the ratio to widescreen, which is going to be 16 by 9. I'm going to hold Option on my Mac and then I'm just going to click and drag until I get to the resolution that I want. So that resolution is 3840 by 2160. And then when you're happy with that, you can just press generate. And now you can see it's done a really good job to fill in those edges as well. You can always cycle through the variations if you like one more than the other. So this one to me looks pretty cool. It's just filled in that area over here. And the reason why we've done that is so that we can give the animation a little bit of headroom at the top and the bottom when we take it into the next website. So once you've got your image, all you need to do is just go to this website, which is called Leiapix.com, and you can just make an account. Once you've made an account, you can then upload your image and then it will automatically generate something like this for you. It's pretty cool. It's not totally free, like they work on a credit system, but when you sign up they give you 300 credits to start off, so there's more than enough credits there to get your first animation going. Now some cool things that you can change in here, you can change the animation style to whichever one you like. I'm going to keep it at perspective. You can change the animation length, so you can make it, you know, zoom around slower, and so that's what I did in my original clip. You can change the amount of motion as well to make that a little bit more, you know, dominant. And I guess you can also change the focus position where you want to focus, but I like it right in the middle. There's also edge dilation and some advanced editing as well. There's not that many features in here, so you can have a look. And the first option is to create the depth map. So this is pretty cool because, you know, it gives that kind of 3D illusion movement. So you can play around with some of these settings, but I'm pretty happy with how it is just like that. So now once you have that, then what you need to do is you need to go to export. And if you have enough credits, you should be able to export something like this, which will only cost you about 50 credits. So now that you've exported your clip, what we need to do is we need to go into After Effects, and I'm just going to go with a 1920 by 1080 pixel document, 30 FPS at a duration of about 10 to 15 seconds. Press OK. Once you have that, the next thing that we need to do is we need to import our downloaded MP4 file in here. Cool, so I've got my video clip in here. Now because I set the scale to 4K, I need to press S to bring it back down to 50%. That will fit the 1920 by 1080 comp perfectly. And now we have our nice little animation there, and that's looking pretty cool. So now the next thing that we need to do is I'm just going to duplicate that 3 times just so it loops for 15 seconds. But depending on how long your composition is, if you don't have to do this, you can always cut it at 5 seconds if you like. So the next thing that we're going to do is we're just going to add some snow to this scene and then just kind of dress it all up. So to do that, what we need to do is we need to create a new solid. So I'm just going to right click and go new solid. I'm just going to call it particles. And then what I'm going to do is I'm just going to search for the effect called CC Particle World. And so now if you've done that correctly, now you will see all these particles coming out, and it doesn't look that great. But what we're going to do is we are going to change up a few things. So first thing is we're going to get rid of all of these grids and guides because yeah, they don't really look that great. And then what we're going to do is we are going to come down to the birth rate. We're going to change that to 0.3. We're going to change the longevity. We're going to put it to 5. All right, so still not really looking like snow, but we'll get there. So the next thing that we're going to do is we're going to open up the producer settings, and we're going to leave position X, but we're going to go to position Y. We're going to change it to -0.7. We're going to have a look at the position Z. We're going to change that to 0.3. We're also going to look at the radius X. So we're going to change the X radius to 0.7. We're going to leave the Y radius at Actually, we'll change it to 0.25, and then we will change the Z radius to 1.5. And so now we have a little bit of, particles coming down, which looks pretty cool, but we need to make it look even better. So we're going to open up the physics settings over here. So the animation we're going to change to twirly. So we're going to have them go like that. We're going to change the velocity. We're going to drop that down a little bit to 0.9. We're also going to change the gravity and put that to 0.3. And so now you'll see the particles falling down like that. We're going to change this extra angle. We're going to change the first bit to 0, and then we're just going to add a little bit of movement over there. So we've set that to 20 degrees. So that's looking pretty cool. Now we just need to change these particles. And to do that, what we need to do is we need to create a new composition. So if I go to the project panel over here, create a new comp and call it snowflakes. And then we're going to change the width and the height to 40 pixels each. Press OK. Now we've got a really small square down here. So what we need to do is we need to create a shape. So I'm just going to create a new shape in there. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to open up the shape contents, and then I'm just going to add an ellipse. And I'm also going to add a fill. So the fill, I'm just going to change to white, just like that. And for the ellipse, I'm going to change the size to, let's say, maybe 27, so something like that. Cool. So now we just need to make it move a little bit. So if I click on the add, and if I go to add wiggle pass, now I'll have some of these options that I can change over here. So the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to change the corner to smooth. So that's for the points. I'm also going to change the size to, let's say, 17. And I'm also going to change the detail to 3. And I'm going to change the wiggles per second to something pretty low, like 0.2. And if you've done that correctly, now you'll have a little bit of movement in there. So that's looking pretty cool. So now we can go back to our main comp and we can drag the snowflakes down into there. We can turn the eye off because we don't really need it, but we're going to go back to our particle settings, and then what we are going to do is we are going to go into particle. And the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to change the particle type to textured quad polygon. And then what we are going to do is we're going to open up the texture options over here, and we're going to change it to our snowflakes. And so now if you've done that correctly, now you will have some nice snowflakes falling down. Oh, we're not just done here just like that. We are going to change a few things. So the rotation speed is going to be 15. We are going to change the initial rotation to, we'll leave it at 360 actually. And we'll change the birth depth and the birth size to 0.1. So 0.1 and then 0.1. And then we'll leave everything else just like that. And so now if you've done that correctly, now you will have these cool, nice little snowflakes falling down on your screen. So now the final thing that we can do here is we can just dress it up. So the first thing that we're going to do here is we are going to create an adjustment layer. And in the adjustment layer, we are going to search for the effect called noise. And I'm just going to bump that up to about 10%. So now we have some noise on top of our clip. That looks pretty cool. So now that we have our noise adjustment layer, what I'm going to do is I'm going to create another adjustment layer, and I'm just going to drag it underneath that original noise layer, and I'm just going to search for the effect called lumetri color. And then here I'm just going to go to creative, and I'm just going to go and change the effects. Now you can choose whatever one you want, but I'm going to choose this one over here, SL Gold Rush. Now it's a bit too much for me over there, so I'm just going to drop that down to maybe about, I don't know, 78, something like that. And so now if you've got that, now you've got a really cool, nice scene with some snow as well. So that's pretty much it for this tutorial. The only other thing that I did add onto this as well was another plugin from Red Giant, which is called Shrink Ray. And I can show you what that looks like right now. So if I put Shrink Ray on here, and if I just go to this mask view, so I can show you here quickly just how to use this. Like, so I'm just putting the mask view on, and what I want is I just want to keep the subject in focus so I can play around with the height. So for example, I'll just keep him in focus over there, and then I'll just bring down the focus width as well, so just to make the background a little bit more blurry. And then, you know, you have some saturate buttons over here. So if I just bring that down to maybe 0.2, we don't want to oversaturate it too much. But then when you take the mask options off, you can see over here is a little bit blurry, and your eyes are being, you know, drawn into the middle over there. So anyways, that's about it for this short tutorial on how to make this cool little cat animation using a bit of AI and a bit of, you know, simple tools in After Effects. Anyways, guys, I hope you learned something. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video.